All right, this last video, we're going to look at example 4. Example 3, you guys can look at the notes for those. It's just extra practice getting a hyperbola. So nothing really fancy with them, just more practice. But example 4, I wanted to do this one because this one's a little bit different. And there's something I forgot to change out of the notes. That should have been a 63. Okay, so we got to graph it, find the center, vertices, foci, and asymptotes. We got to get everything. So if you notice that this equation is not in the equation we like, so we need to get this equation to look like that one. So just like we did for the ellipse, we need to complete the square. So I'm going to organize everything again. I'm going to put the y's together, and then I'm going to put the x's together. But I'm going to factor out a 9 from the y's just so that the y squared will have a 1 on it. So I'm going to pull a 9 out. So that would make it y squared minus 2y. And then I'm going to put a blank just so I remember I have to complete the square. Now on the x's, I'm going to pull out a -4. From both of my x's. So that'd be x squared plus 6x. And then put the blank in there as well. So 63 plus blank plus blank. So now you have to figure out, or now you have to complete the square. So if you complete the square with the y's, that would be a 1. But over on the right side, you got to do 9 times the 1, and that's what number goes over there. For the x's, same type of thing. The 9 completes the square, but then on this side, 9 times a -4 is a -36. So if you're doing these problems and you're kind of coming out with a wrong solution, or things are just kind of wild and crazy with your numbers, this is usually where the mistake kind of happens. So just check to make sure that if there's a number already out here, that you multiplied it in. All right, so let's keep going. So let's factor everything out. So y minus 1 squared, and then x plus 3 squared. And then if you combine everything on the right side, that is going to equal 36. So now I can divide everything by 36 and reduce. So y minus 1 squared all over 4 minus x plus 3 squared over 9 is equal to 1. Okay, so now we have an equation that is in the correct format, and so now you can start getting everything. So based on how it's written, I know this is going to be an up and down hyperbola because the y fraction is positive and the x fraction has that negative on it. So let's get A, B, and C. So A is 3. B is going to be 2. So if you use the Pythagorean theorem, C is going to come out to equal the square root of 13. All right, our center, make each set of parentheses equal to 0, and whatever makes the x part 0, the x set 0, that's the number that goes first. It's not the number from the first fraction, don't do that. Just look for where the x's are. So -3 and then 1. So our center is over here, right there. And you can kind of go in any direction you want now. You can graph this thing and then get your points. You can get your points and then graph them. Either way. Sometimes I find it easier if you just sort of graph it out, because then you just have to count where you put your points. And you don't have to worry about, wait, did I just add or subtract? You're just counting. Okay, so the a is 3, so go left and right by 3. And then up and down both by a 2. So we've got this little tiny box. Stick your asymptotes. And we know it's up and down. So graph it up and down. Okay, so let's get our vertices. So the vertices will be the ones that hit the actual the hyperbola. So this one down here, that's at -3, -1. And the one at the top would be -3 and 3. The focus points, they would be running up and down as well, but it's the square root of 13. So it's somewhere in between 3 and 4. I'm not going to ever ask you to plot one of these radicals. You just have to give the point out. So since it's running up and down, you're adding and subtracting it to the y value of the center. So -3, comma, and then 1 plus or minus the square root of 13. And then for the asymptotes, y is going to equal plus or minus the b over a, so 2/3, times the quantity of x plus 3, and then plus 1. So for the asymptotes, the quantity with x's should always match from the equation to the asymptote, and then the number off on its own is going to match the y value of the center. All right, so that is going to do it for hyperbola. So try the homework out. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll go from there. Thanks, guys.